In my last video, which was posted the end of November, I mentioned how we were at all-time highs, measured in fiat. And since then, a couple months later, we are, I think, currently down 40% from the all-time high. I think at one point we were down 50%. So if you're relatively new to the space, which a lot of people are, this might be your first real downturn. This might be the first time that you're feeling real pain as a Bitcoin holder, especially if you bought at near the all-time high. And I did. I was putting in orders at 80,000 Canadian or whatever that is in the US, 65,000 or whatever. I was putting orders in at that price, and that's what you do when you dollar cost average. Now that we are experiencing this steep decline, it's not so much a crash. It's been a little more controlled than I have seen in previous Bitcoin drawdowns. Particularly in March of 2020, that drawdown was particularly sudden and violent. This has been more of a controlled descent, and that actually makes it, that's optimal for dollar cost averaging into this decline, because it just gives you more time to accumulate surplus cash, to generate surplus cash that you can then push into this market. So it's to your advantage. When it's a really sudden crash, it's tough to catch that falling knife. It's tough to get in right at the bottom. These controlled declines where it happens steadily over a period of months, it's really ideal right now. Now's the time to be buying. Now's the time to be accumulating. And I've stressed this in multiple videos. Really, the whole emphasis of this channel has been the steady accumulation of sats, and conditions now are very optimal for really establishing a good position in Bitcoin. It shouldn't be a paradox, because in life it's always good to buy when something is on sale, but for some reason when it comes to investments, people don't want to buy when it's on sale. They want to sell when it's on sale. This of course reveals the mentality of people. If you are buying just to ride the wave up and then to cash out, then you're a speculator. You're not an investor. A speculator or a trader, they're just taking cash, they're jumping into a position, riding it up a little, and then basically cashing out. And in that case, if you jump into a position and then suddenly it declines 40%, you could be in big trouble, especially if you're using margin. But if you're an investor, you have identified an opportunity to buy an asset that you essentially want to hold forever. If you are investing in something planning to just flip it, you're not really an investor. You're speculating. An investor buys and holds really forever. This is the mentality of value investors, who they buy stocks that they never, there's no reason to ever sell it, because they bought it at a good price. The fundamentals are good. Ideally, you can hold a good investment forever. Bitcoin you can hold forever. You never have to sell Bitcoin. You can leverage Bitcoin. You can use it as collateral. You can use it as a down payment. Even now, there's opportunities for doing this, and in the future, they will. Well, in the future, I believe Bitcoin will be pristine collateral. Bitcoin will be better than treasury bonds. Okay, Treasury bonds are T-bills. This is what in this current financial system is considered pristine collateral. Obviously, I would say that T-bills and Treasury bills, the idea that those assets are pristine collateral, that will not be the case at some point in the future. Perhaps not too far in the future. But I think Bitcoin will be. There's many videos I've done explore why Bitcoin is such fantastic financial collateral. And in that sense, you buy Bitcoin with the mentality that you literally will never sell it. And it's not that you won't be able to capitalize on your investment just because you're not selling it. I mean, if you own a $100 million piece of art, you don't have to sell it in order to capitalize from that investment, right? This is the reason why the wealthy own these kind of assets. They don't. The wealthy don't sell their Manhattan real estate when they want to buy something. They leverage it. Right. This is why you want to have very high quality collateral, and you don't want to sell it because it's going to appreciate in the future. You don't want to sell it because it's going to incur capital gains tax. It's going to trigger that tax. Bitcoin, for me, I buy with the idea that I will never sell. So when I see a 40-50% decline from all-time highs, that is, for me, a wonderful opportunity to accumulate more. It's not just a matter of talk. Every time that this has occurred since I've been in Bitcoin, every time there's been a significant decline like this, I have aggressively accumulated, and so far every time it has worked out fantastically in my favor. I accumulated heavily in December 2018. I accumulated heavily in March of 2020. Now I am accumulating again. Not as heavily as I would like, because my access to cash relative to the size of my Bitcoin position now, it's hard to really substantially change the amount of Bitcoin I have. You'll find as time goes on that is the case, but I am working at accumulating cash to be able to increase my position while it's on sale. And recognize that I'm not telling you that you should go all in on Bitcoin right now because this is the bottom. I don't know if this is the bottom. I don't know how far this drawdown goes. To the extent that I have some cash coming in the coming months, I quite frankly hope that it continues to go down. It would be really beneficial if it were to do that for me. Of course, that's not the way things work. You can't predict the future. What you want to happen, Bitcoin doesn't care. Bitcoin doesn't care if you want Bitcoin to go up. Bitcoin doesn't care if you want Bitcoin to go down. Bitcoin is going to do its thing. It's going to be radically unpredictable, and there's just no point in trying to outsmart Bitcoin. So all I can say is that when you're 50% down 50% from all-time highs within a period of just a few months, it's a pretty significant decline. That's just a general signal that now is a great time to accumulate. Recognize that we can go down even further from this, and if we do, all I will say is great. Like, there's your opportunity to accumulate even more. Now is when you buy. You buy when there's blood on the streets. Right now, there's it's like a bloodbath, not in the sense that Bitcoin is bleeding, but the weak hands are being slaughtered. The weak hands are being executed in the streets right now. people who, downloaded Robinhood and they put a few $100 in Bitcoin thinking that it was going to turn into 10,000 in a few months. That kind of person who hasn't done their research, who don't really know, like they're just basically gambling and they heard of this Bitcoin thing. These people are capitulating. These are the people that are selling. This is just a transfer from weak hands to strong hands. So I ask you, regardless of the price, regardless of the fact that we're 40-50% down from all-time highs, well, who's buying? Someone's buying, because on every side of a trade there's a buyer. It's the smart money is buying, right? The strong hands, the investors who are accumulating Bitcoin with the intention of essentially never selling it, they are buying right now. Who's selling? It's obviously it's the weak hands. Also, it's the traders who are following momentum. They have to sell. It is those who are being liquidated. They're getting margin called. They are selling. All of these sellers I don't care about because they temporarily influence the price, yes. But what I care about is the long-term buyers, because they are the ones that provide a hard bottom to every crash, and they are the ones that drive up the price to all-time highs subsequently. Because the more the people like me accumulate, the less supply there is available on the market. Every sat that I accumulate is basically, it's never available for sale again, right? So in these drawdowns, every single sat that is accumulated by long-term investors, by the strongest hands, it's off the market forever. And once that bottom is created in the drawdown, then the momentum reverses. Well, guess what? It's the supply of this insanely scarce asset is that much more constrained. It's not just that there's only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever be created. It's that such a large percentage of the Bitcoin supply is increasingly held by people who have essentially permanently taken that Bitcoin off the market. This is why Bitcoin just goes from $1,000 to $10,000 to $50,000. It's going to go to $100,000. This is why this occurs. This is why Bitcoin keeps going up. These drawdowns are not only necessary for the health of Bitcoin, because they shake out the weak hands, but they actually, in the long run, they drive Bitcoin to the next all-time high, because it further constrains the supply. The further Bitcoin goes down in price, the more per dollar I'm able to accumulate. The longer it stays, the price is suppressed from all-time highs, and the deeper the drawdown is, the more incentivized I am to literally flip over couch cushions looking for money. Going through my vehicle looking for 20 bucks here, 40 bucks there, trying to find cash, anything that I can throw at this. The further it goes down, the more I'm driven to just find as much cash as I can. This is when you accumulate. So don't be afraid. Be responsible, right? Bitcoin can go down another 50% from here. If you just take out, if you max out your line of credit thinking this is the bottom and you're going to double your money in a few months, you could be in some trouble. Be responsible, but also recognize what opportunity looks like. Opportunity looks like fear. Right now there is intense fear in the market. This is historically the best time to buy Bitcoin. What else? What else can I say? The only other comment perhaps would be Bitcoin is down 40-50% from all-time highs. Why? What has fundamentally changed about Bitcoin? The only news that I can think of is that the Russian central bank has suggested that Bitcoin is be banned in Russia. Well, remember what happened this summer when China banned all the Bitcoin miners? That essentially was a nation-state level attack on Bitcoin. Most of the mining operations were in China at that time. It was a big deal for China to crack down in such a comprehensive and aggressive manner. And what happened? The hash rate collapsed for a little while. Not even collapsed, it declined. Bitcoin's price declined, and by the end of the summer, it was like the market just shrugged and didn't care. A nation-state level attack from a world superpower, and Bitcoin, the network, and Bitcoin's price both shook it off like it wasn't a big deal. And the miners relocated, a lot of them to America, by the way, which is it's better than having them in a communist China. So that actually worked to the benefit of Bitcoin's network. So is this drawdown because of Russia's announcement? If it is, who cares? I mean, who cares what Russia does? Bitcoin didn't care what China did after a few months. Is it because the Fed is talking about interest rate hikes? They can hike interest rates. They can do their little, 25 basis point hikes until they're blue in the face. They're never going to be able to save the US dollar with a tight money policy. There will be no repetition of what Paul Volcker did in the late 70s and early 80s when he raised the Fed funds rate to like 20%, literally 20%, just unprecedented. And he saved the US dollar, in essence, by doing so, after the US dollar collapsed in 71 when Nixon took it off the gold standard. Right? People talk about the collapse of the US dollar. The US dollar has collapsed multiple times in its history. 71 was the last time. And 33 before that. I believe it was 33 with FDR. And there's going to be no repetition of that. The U.S. cannot afford raising interest rate, Fed funds rate to 20. Are you kidding me? They could collapse the U.S. economy, raising it to 2.5%. The Fed can do their little dinky rate hikes to pretend like they are promoting a strong dollar policy. But we all know the truth. We all know that any serious interest rate hike would collapse the ability of the U.S. to fund its own government operations. It would collapse. Everyone is up to their eyeballs in debt. They can't defend the dollar in such a way. So are these, little dinky rate hikes a threat to Bitcoin? No. Is US dollar a threat to Bitcoin? No. Nothing's changed. This drawdown from all-time highs Bitcoin is just going to do this. It's a great opportunity. The truth is that for a lot of people, this is the first time when their conviction is met with resistance. And you'll find out a lot about yourself, and you'll find out a lot about your level of conviction in Bitcoin, in this investment. This is why I made this channel, is so that you can really deeply contemplate what Bitcoin is, why you are invested in it for the long term, why potentially, as I am, you are invested in it literally forever. You will never sell it. If you build a strong intellectual foundation that is able to serve as a safety net for you, when drawdowns like this occur, you will not be scared off. You will not be frightened, and you will actually you won't follow the crowd. You will be buying Bitcoin at a discount, taking it off the hands of those who were too weak and too scared to have the necessary conviction.